Hi, more binding excitement, and this time I've got a drop down. So we've had colours, we've had icons, and this time we've got this concept of sizes. So what's a size? So basically, the icons that you can put on the screen, or the buttons you can put on the screen, all have a tile size, and it can be normal, double width, or double square. Actually, I don't support double square at the moment. So I need some way of putting these into a drop down. But because it's an enum, that's slightly tricky, because although it will handle the strings of these reasonably well, when it comes to double width, it won't have a space in it. So I need some way of changing this into a kind of human readable form and then changing it back. And the way you do that in other languages or other frameworks such as SAML is you have a concept of a type converter. So I've got here a folder I've got converters, and in here I've got IValueConverter. Now IValueConverter is an exact copy of the one you'll find in a presentation framework, Windows presentation framework. So the idea is you've got two contractual obligations. You've got convert and convert back, and they are purposely vague in their typing. So you pass in some sort of value, and then you say what kind of type you want it to be converted to. Maybe have a parameter, and maybe have a language. And then similarly, on the way back, you need to convert it back. So in our case, for a tile size, we're going to pass in a tile size enum type. We're going to say we want to convert it to a string. And then on the way back, we'll have a string, and we want to convert it to a tile size type. But Unity being Unity, we need some way of being able to programmatically represent that converter. So I've got a value converter behavior. So this allows me to put it into the inspector because it's a mono behavior. It still implements IValueConverter, so we still get our sort of Windows presentation mechanism. And I've shortcutted this because basically when you implement a value converter, you'll know a couple of these types. So rather than try and explain that, I'll just show you the tile size converter. So here we are derived from value converter, and here's our basic convert and convert back. And here you can see that I'm hard coding the tile sizes and the string that we're going to convert to, because it knows those. Now you may be wondering why this one's using a list. And indeed here in the convert you can see that when I'm doing the comparison, I've got two sorts of tests. The one is the more basic one, is the value being passed in, or just double checking that the value passed in is a tile size and that we want a string, and if so, we just convert it, which is just a basic case statement. But also there's a list variant where I've got a list of tile sizes, and then I convert all of the elements in that list to strings. Now the reason I do that is because on our drop down we are sent in collections of items or lists of items. So actually I want to convert all of them in one go, and we'll see what that looks like. So back to our hierarchy here, and we've got our drop down size, and we got our now kind of familiar bindings. So we've got the current size index, and that's, let's take the debug off, make it a bit easier to read. And that has a binding of the current size item index to the selected size, and then we bind to a drop down on a selected index. So there's nothing new there. The additional thing here is now we have this optional value converter in the bindings. I'm not going to use it here, but we will use it on the options. So I've dragged in our tile size converter, so it just exists. And in the value converter for this binding, I've set it to that. So when we get our available sizes, it's going to run that list through the tile size converter. And where does it get these sizes from? Well, again, this is from the view model. So the view model has an available size array of normal and double width. Remember, there are three, so I'm only supporting the first two at the moment. So hence why they're there. If I made that into three, then you can see I could add double square, but I don't support that yet. Okay, so let's just run this up. See what happens. I will go to debug. So we're on edit scene view model. I'll just switch the debug on. So in here we can see we've got our sort of hidden properties of selected color, selected sprite, selected size, and we're currently on normal. So let's edit and just select one of these. So run normal, and indeed in the size here it shows normal. If I drop down, oops, and we can set that to double width. Goes to double width here, and you can see immediately we select that on our view model, the selected size has been reflected as double width. And you can see here that we have our space in here, so we can, our enum has correctly converted to the human readable form double width. And we can just test that out. I'll just prove that beyond doubt. We can come in here and we can say doubly width. And we want to put that back in here as well, on the way back. So let's just run that up. Normal, and now we've got our doubly width. We can set that, and selected size here is set to double width, not doubly width, because it's using the enum. So it's all correctly binding, two-way binding on that, and we've now got a concept of a converter that we can use. So that's all good news. Thanks.